Hey, do you want a beer? Or you want to smoke some pot? Or we could watch Outside the Box reviews. We love Outside the Box reviews!
Happy Friday the 13th! Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the McFarlane Movie Maniacs Series 5 Jason X figure. And this is the Uber Jason, the more iconic version of Jason from Jason X. This figure came out in 2002, according to the copyright on his foot, so this is a bit of an older one. In Jason X, Jason is frozen and gets into the future on a spaceship, and with the help of all the cool futuristic technology, he is finally taken down, only to be reborn by some kind of weird bio-reconstructing metal table thing. Sure, it makes no sense, sure it's campy as hell, and sure it is a complete ripoff of the entire Alien franchise. And yet somehow this is the Friday the 13th movie that basically got me hooked on the franchise. The first movie I saw start to finish complete, and that's kinda sad. But let's take a closer look at this figure and see how he rates up to the modern versions of Jason. Now, I did purchase this figure loose, so I didn't get one of the two accessories with it. I did not get the traditional Movie Maniacs standee with the movie poster to go behind this figure. If memory serves me right, by Series 5, McFarlane wasn't really doing the big, thick, heavy-duty, cool posters anymore. They were just giving you a very small display base and giving you a very flimsy piece of cardboard with the movie poster on it. So, combined with the fact that I don't normally even display those things half the time, there's no big loss to me that I don't have that piece. Jason does come with his Uber machete, very cool looking, a very nice silver fancy handle going on over here. It's a very, very good looking machete for him. It looks very accurate to the film. Has a nice edge on it, no blood effects or anything, but it doesn't need it. It's a well done little piece here. As for Jason himself, there is a great amount of detail in this figure. I am pretty impressed with it. You can see on the head, he has his Uber mask going on. He has his two eyes sculpted in there, all detailed out. They're a little darker than I'd like them to be. They were very red in the film. These are a little more brownish, but even the pupils are in there. There's a nice metallic sheen to the mask he has on. All the little kind of points coming off of it, radiating out from the front, moving on to the smooth back plate, and then you can see the all torn up skin underneath, basically looking like he went through the meat grinder, which he kind of did in this film, but very, very cool looking detail, and a lot of color. A flesh tone, we got some purples and reds and darks and lights in there. Really a great paint job by McFarlane there, and as I said before, the front of it is just as well detailed, with the exception of those eyes. Coming down to the body of Jason, this Jason kind of had a Two-Face vibe going on. On the one side, we do have the mechanical side. So you have the metal plating, which is once again still a very nice sheen of silver. And then the flesh kind of poking out. He's got his little Jason armpit up there. You just kind of want to tickle that. Just so exposed. That's just wrong. But all the mechanical bits coming up his arm, very, very nicely detailed. I did a custom figure of this guy a long time ago, and I had to spend quite a while looking at detailed shots of how all these metallic parts interplay with the flesh tones and the cloth, and I must say McFarlane did do a very good job getting all those details captured in here. Over on his other side, he just has the long sleeve black outfit going on, lots of nice wrinkles in it, a little gray in there to add some paint shading. My favorite part though is the dividing line. We have the kind of gooey, tendrily looking pieces coming onto the metal with the purple detailed, almost veins coming out of it onto his metal side. I think that's a very, very good attention to detail and really adds a lot to this figure. We of course have the one hand up to hold the machete in a closed pose, and the other hand is just kind of open down here, gloved hand, very simple. Coming down here below the waist, we see the sculpting kind of switches sides. We have the long sleeve pants going down this side with the boot down there at the bottom, all just kind of black and gray, but still decently detailed out. And then more cyber work down here, looking very, very nice, very robotic, very cool. I like the paint and I like the sculpt on this guy. It's for a figure that's 12 years old. This is still pretty impressive as far as detail goes. Where this figure is not impressive, articulation. We have a swivel cut at the neck. Really, the only realistic way you could have him looking is kind of off to the side here. You turn it at all, it's gonna kind of look wonky. That's maybe okay, but anything else, just not gonna work with this figure. We have a swivel in this shoulder, so we could rotate that all the way around. We could also rotate his hand. Back here, they have a pretty well disguised joint. Up here, he has a bicep swivel that, because of all the armor on there, it's actually very well hidden from most angles until you kind of look at it in between the metal pieces, but I really dig that. It's well done. We also have a rotation at the wrist. We have a cut joint at the waist, so we can rotate that around. But because Jason is in this kind of leaning back, striking pose, and the articulation's kind of at an angle, you just get weirdness going on. Some severe weirdness. This is like the Matrix going on here. And then we have nothing from the waist down. So basically what you're stuck with is pretty much this position on the waist, and you could have him about to slice somebody in half, looking all vicious, or you can kind of move the arm up there, tweak it a little, and you have Jason ready for his tennis serve. Those are about the only two looks that look like anything in reality you can get out of this guy. For a size comparison, while this figure is kind of a little bent at the knees and permanently that way, we can compare him to the Mezco Jason Goes to Hell, the previous movie, and how about a little more modern with the NECA Part 3 Jason. So he's decently in scale with both of these, not perfectly so. He's closer to the NECA one than he is to the Mezco. But either way, he works well enough in your Friday the 13th display that I don't think he's going to be sticking out like a sore thumb. As for whether or not I recommend this figure, that's a little harder to say. And you really have to give it some big concessions for the age on it. Like I said, a 12-year-old figure. That is forever in action figure terms. And this guy just does not have the articulation that we've come to expect out of modern figures. But he's not a modern figure. I'm going to recommend him because everything else on this is really spot on. The sculpt, the paint, I really like them. It's a great representation of Uber Jason. You could just only show him one way. He is a statue. But the seams where the joints aren't horribly noticeable. They're visible, but they're nothing that really detracts from the figure. That arm joint especially is very well hidden. And accounting for what this figure is and kind of what it was meant to be, you can't really fault it. No McFarlane figure really ever had a whole lot of articulation, especially the Movie Maniacs ones. It's something you just have to live with when you collect them. And this was the only Uber Jason, I think, ever officially done in action figure form. There are 2 Jason X figures. I believe Sideshow Collectibles did the pre-Uber Jason. I believe McFarlane's the only one to tackle this version of the character. Now, of course, you know my next words out of my mouth are gonna be, I'd love to see NECA handle both of those characters. That's a given. I would love updated versions of all the Jasons from over the years for my collection. We got part 3, we got part 4, so now I need all 10 other movies worth of Jasons. But I think I could safely say, I don't know if NECA can really improve on this sculpt. They can articulate a sculpt just as well as this, and I think that would actually be pretty hard. It would probably involve a lot of soft rubber and a lot of finagling different parts to work correctly, and it probably wouldn't look as good as we'd really want it to. But there are sacrifices to be made for a well-articulated figure, we all know that. And this is definitely low on my list of priorities for NECA to get around to. Unfortunately, it seems like they are very hard-hitting on that retro Mego cloth figure thing, so hopefully they will return to the solid plastic figures at some point and finish up the Jasons for us, or at least hit some of the more needed ones. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, it's okay. Just wanted his machete back.